Today we kick off our Under the Influence triple feature series, in which we stand idly by as infernal beings possess a slew of unsuspecting, unwilling, and ultimately underprepared victims, with Kevin S. Tenney's 1988 high-energy Halloween horror show. The strobe lights are flashing, the fudge logs are baking, and the razor blade in the apple myth comes true as we sneak into Hull House for a seance to end all seances, to meet not one, not two, but a whole drove of teenage demons and the haunted funeral parlor responsible in the campy 80s classic, Night of the Demons. You're listening to How I Met Your Monster, a podcast that explores the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. My name's Zach.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Casey.
And together we dive into the world of horror to find out how filmmakers have introduced us to our favorite monsters time and time again. This is How I Met Your Monster.
You opened it. We came.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left.
Who are you? Explorers in further regions of experience. Demons to some, angels to others.
Call you meatloaf? Surprise, Sydney.
Come on, don't be chicken shit.
Welcome to the 100th episode of How I Met Your Monster. Can you believe it? 100
Amazing.
episodes. We did it, you guys.
It's only 85 for me.
Yeah, we're officially in triple digits.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow.
That's weird.
So, welcome to the 100th episode of How I Met Your Monster. If you're not already subscribed to the show, make sure to find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, anywhere you get your podcasts. And if you would like to help support our show, visit shop.fangoria.com/howimetyourmonster to receive 20% off your entire Fangoria order. Just make sure to enter promo code How I Met Your Monster at checkout, and you will get 20% off, and you will help support our show. This is a special episode. We are 100 monsters deep.
We're 100 mods deep, as they say.
Why did all of our minds go?
How deep can we get in these monsters?
How deep can we get in these monsters?
How deep can we get? Deeper.
It's as deep as you can. Well, it's as deep as you can get. No, I was going to say it's as deep as you can get in triple digits, but it's literally the opposite because it's the start of triple digits. So it's the least deep you can get in triple digits.
Which is still pretty deep,
We can go
though.
a lot deeper.
Oh, I'm so excited. I just want to go as deep as possible.
I'm so excited to go deeper.
We are just at the tip
Just
right
the tip.
now. And
My favorite game.
there's so much room to plunge.
Yeah, guys. The first 100 episodes were just like the tip. You're right.
They were.
Yeah. And now we're finally gonna have some fun.
We're lubed up and we're ready to get in there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. We all get lubed up before these recordings.
I mean, I naturally lubricate, but all right. So let's.
Okay, we're finally
deeper.
good to go. So we'll go a little deeper. We'll continue the insertion of our.
And we're just gonna hump our way into horror.
Hump
How
our
I
way
Met Your
through
Monster,
horror.
humping your way into horror for 100 episodes.
How I Met Your Monster horror humpers monster humpers instead of monster hunters.
Okay.
Yes.
Get it?
Are we monster
Yeah.
hunters though? We never have said we were monster hunters.
No, but that's what people
humpers,
say. People call themselves, monster, like
Oh.
Hansel and Gretel, witch hunters, blah blah blah. But I'm just saying, instead of the word hunter, you can use
Like
humper.
Van Helsing would be a monster humper.
Yeah. Well, no, we're humper. He's still a monster hunter. We're monster humpers
He could be a humper.
because we're getting deep.
But today on this special episode, we are actually starting a brand new triple feature.
Do tell.
Which if I had my way, it would have been called, Is That a Demon in Your Pocket or Are You Just Possessed? But we are officially calling it Under the Influence. So
if I had it my way, it would have been do you like my
do you like my
possession selection?
we can call it all three of these things. Even Stanley Kubrick couldn't settle on Dr. Strangelove. So we could just be like Under the Influence or...
Oh, is it called Under the Influence? Okay.
Is it? What is it?
It is.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If you guys were on last episode, we announced it officially. It is Under the Influence. So, so now that we got the title figured out, finally, we are going to be watching 3 possession movies and talking about its monsters, starting with today's episode, Night of the Demons, followed by The Dark and the Wicked and Talk to Me in our upcoming episodes. But today, we are all about that 80s goth vibe with Night of the Demons. We're going to meet Angela Franklin and Suzanne.
And so many others literally not keep count of.
Right. Which is funny because, like Angela has been like the main villain in these movies in 1, 2, and 3. But now with I don't know when the Blu-ray came out, but with the Blu-ray release, they kind of put Suzanne front and center.
Which makes sense. I think aesthetically, Angela in this movie looks like she fits as like
stereotypical
the cover art for this type of movie. Yeah. But Suzanne kind of like kicks everything off.
Right. She's technically the first one to get possessed. And Angela
she's
takes
getting
over. But we'll get to that.
Swear that I had seen it before. That's why I was asking you guys last night about similar movies, because I swear I've seen something just like this movie that was not this movie.
Well, it's funny you say that, Casey, because I thought I watched this movie a lot too as a kid, and I think I've only seen it maybe once or twice, and it was the sequel that I had seen a lot.
Oh, okay. So maybe I've seen
because there were scenes in this movie that I'm like,
wow, this is crazy.
Maybe. Is it the one where she's like,
I'm going to keep this train going because number 2, I thought I had seen quite a bit, and I was very unfamiliar. I looked up pictures, and I was very unfamiliar with part 2, but So
none
crazy.
of us understand. We're so lost in this franchise. Yeah. We've only seen one movie, probably.
Well, I have seen them all because I remember watching them all, and I know I've seen part 3 because it's like got like a criminal element. There's like bad guys hiding out in the house.
I have not seen that one.
And Angela she fucking does a blowjob on a gun and like sucks the bullets out and spits the bullets into the dude's hand.
Oh,
yeah.
Guess she's
crazy.
She blowjobs a bullet.
She blowjobs a bullet gun. She blowjobs a gun.
Jobs? Wow.
And then the I've seen the remake as well from 2009 with Edward Furlong and Shannon Elizabeth plays Angela.
Interesting.
And what's her name is in it as well. From Freddy versus Jason. What's her name?
Monica Keena?
Monica Keena. Yeah, that's it. She's like her and Edward Furlong are like the protagonists in the remake.
So they're like the Roger and the Judy.
It's kind of like a different, they set it up different. Like he's like a drug dealer and they had been a previous couple and they broke up, and then he's like at this party selling drugs or something, and they get stuck.
Listen, Zach, I don't need character development in my Night of the Demons movie. I didn't get it here. I don't want it. I don't want it in the sequels. I don't care for it.
That's fair.
I did enjoy this movie. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a campy Evil Dead meets like a little Hellraiser-y, because they were like talking about like wanting to inflict pain on them.
Sure. Yeah.
So I was getting that kind of vibe.
And even some of the lighting, like towards the end with like the shadows and her, like Angela, like floating down the hallway kind of gives you like a Hellraiser kind of vibe.
Totally.
I really liked the cinematography in this movie for some reason. But it was fucking bonkers. I think I've said that about one other movie that we've covered, but I think that this one wins the bonkers award from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is pretty bonkers. It's bonkers in a fun way, because even like opening the movie up with like the animated sequence is kind of setting you up for like, you don't have to take this seriously.
Those opening credits might be my favorite ever.
They were very fun.
Pretty great.
And that music, the theme song to this movie is really cool. It's like full on 80s. They just like went for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I loved it. I also think that the acting might be the worst we've ever covered because it wasn't just like one or two people that were doing a terrible job. They're all pretty terrible.
I would almost argue that some of the dialogue was a little tricky to work with because I actually thought some of the acting was not terrible.
Oh, I thought it was all very bad.
There were some standouts, I would say. I thought Angela, Suzanne, they especially did a pretty solid job. Like even little moments,
sure,
like before the movie even gets into it, when they're at the little convenience store.
Mm-hmm.
That was like such a fun little sequence.
It was funny.
That could have like kind of worked in any kind of I don't know, like John Hughes comedy, you know?
Right.
So I thought it worked, but I totally get your point. Like there was a level of cheese. There's a lot of cheese in this movie.
I thought Sal did pretty good for his character. You know,
basically out of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. But
yeah.
but I actually wrote this down. I thought Hal Havens, what's his name? Hal Havens, who plays Stooge, the big guy with the pig nose. I thought his character is like fucking just despicable and gross. But I thought in acting terms, I thought he did the best out of everybody.
Yeah, he was good. He flips on a dime. He's pretty erratic.
Mm-hmm. Which real quickly, I just want to point this out real quick. Hal Havens, who played Stooge, also played a cab driver in an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, wow.
So he's very welcome on this show.
Full circle.
Full circle.
We would not be here without How I Met Your Mother. So
that's right.
We just would have a different name.
Please don't sue us.
Yeah, it sounds weird to say that. It sounds like someone's mispronouncing How I Met Your Monster.
Yeah.
Well, they are.
Which is funny because we
show?
came second. Do you guys know this movie was originally titled Halloween Party?
Is it really? Was it really?
No, it is. Which is crazy because it fits because they go to a Halloween party.
Wow, weird. Even though Zach didn't know that Angela was wearing a Halloween costume.
Okay.
I don't think she is. I still don't think she is. Like, because she's like, okay.
I feel like it's a combination of things. I think this is Angela probably dresses similarly to this look.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they call her, you know, I don't know if they call her that or I'm just calling her, but like that goth look.
Yeah. Well, even
and I
Judy
bet for Halloween, she accentuates that.
Yeah. Even Judy, like when Jay, is his name Jay, says they're going to Hull House, invited by Angela. She was like that witch from history class or whatever. So she calls her a witch. So like she's got some kind of aesthetic going on that people would think that.
It's funny because they don't really lean into it. They lean into her being interested in like the dark side, like occult, maybe, you know, Halloween and all that stuff, but only up to a point. And maybe that's like the point is that because once things start getting really serious, like she sets everything up. She's like, let's do a seance. Let's go to this creepy old funeral home that's abandoned to celebrate Halloween. But once everything kind of gets moving, she's the first person to be like, guys, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's not like she's totally initiating the evil because her character is like familiar with this stuff, where she's like, okay, I wanted to have fun with this, but maybe this is not the time or place. Like maybe we're pushing it.
Right. Well, she comes up with that, the difference between a haunted house and a possessed house.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So she's very concerned about that. She says a haunted, and then like Judy's like, what's the difference? And she says a haunted house is a house with ghosts in it, the spirits of people who used to live. And a possessed house is a house filled with spirits that never took human form. They're pure evil. They're demons.
That's cool.
Yeah. It reminded me of the scene in The Conjuring when the Warrens are trying to explain like what the difference is between, I mean, it's almost exactly the same scene when like ghosts are just present already, whereas like a demon is looking for a vessel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's basically the same setup.
Yeah. Well, are you guys ready to journey to Hull House and have this little shindig with Angela and Suzanne?
Yeah. Meet all these monsters.
Zach, what possessed you to say that?
Okay, so I would say we have 3 monsters for this episode. We've got Angela, Suzanne, and Hull House itself. No? In agreement and disagreements?
So I have 13 reveals.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Okay.
My thinking was, I was just marking down all the times we meet the monster and any time a character meets a monster.
Right.
So do you want me to...
a monster or the monster? Because I guess that goes... So in the movie, I guess the monsters of the movie, Zach would be right, but there are other monsters within the movie as well that aren't like the monsters.
Well, that begs a question, which I asked myself at the end, because at the end of the movie, well, at the beginning of the movie, the first time when they do their little seance in the mirror, you see the demon, and this demon basically infests everyone. So everyone is kind of possessed by the same demon. So then you can argue
so that would be the house.
Like, yeah, exactly. Now, I considered that, but then I also went every time someone meets a specific character as like the possessed character. So,
and maybe my thinking is a little off, because I do have my 3 monsters: Angela, Suzanne, and Hull House. Well, I guess I called it the Hull House demon, not just Hull House. But then I do have my reveals of everybody that becomes a demon, and or I'm going to call the rest of them zombies. Because I don't know if you guys noticed this, but like the people who got like killed and not just like bit or something,
like in the coffin.
Yeah, they became like zombie. They were like weren't full on demons. They were kind of just like,
right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So what do you think? But do you think that was because there was this like demonic energy sort of like keeping everything alive, or was the demon actually going inside of them?
Yeah, that's a good question, because
what are the rules of possession in this movie? Because a lot of characters get possessed. One character gets possessed just by staring at the mirror. One gets possessed by getting, well, a few get possessed, or at least a couple, by being kissed. And then some just kind of wake up.
Who got possessed by staring at the mirror? Helen?
Suzanne.
Suzanne.
Oh, maybe it was Helen. Was it Helen?
Well, Helen like sees a vision and then she gets freaked out and she's like, I'm leaving.
Yes. See, I was confusing Helen with Suzanne.
And then Suzanne, the demon comes up from the furnace, the oven, and it comes up and like goes into her mouth.
She's
like,
putting on her lipstick.
Like Evil Dead style, kind of through the house.
That's right. Okay.
Okay. So this movie has roughly 12 to 15 reveals.
You know, it's fitting for our 100th episode. We have 100 reveals in this episode.
That's right. So a reveal counts as anytime a monster is introduced to a character in the movie, or we as an audience see them as a monster, or becoming a monster. So with all the characters in this movie becoming demons, becoming demon zombies, becoming whatever, there's a lot to cover in a short amount of time of this in this short Halloween party.
Yes. And a lot of these reveals happen pretty subsequently. Like it's one after the other.
This movie's only an hour and a half.
But there's like so many characters and so many
not spread out.
Yeah. So many different people meeting different people for the first time.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
Because it doesn't really start until like halfway through. So
right.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of setup, and then once it starts, it hits the ground running. It's pretty it's pretty nonstop.
Okay, so let's get into Night of the Demons. The synopsis via IMDb says 10 teenagers party at an abandoned funeral parlor. 10 teenagers party at an abandoned funeral parlor on Halloween night. When an evil force awakens, demonic spirits keep them from leaving and turn their gathering into a living hell.
Oh, God.
And hell is, I must note, hell is capitalized in this synopsis.
So they mean business.
They mean business. That's right.
This is serious.
IMDb means business.
Oh, shit.
So basically, Angela and her friend Suzanne have invited all these people to a Halloween party, minus one. Judy was not invited. But Jay brings her along because they were going to go to the dance, and he's like, I've got something better. Jay just wants to get, oh my God.
What?
I almost just said Jay just wants to get his dick wet.
I mean, he does.
And it sounded so terrible that I stopped
That's
saying
true.
it halfway through.
All of the men in this movie are fucking disgusting, by the way.
Well, Sal wasn't invited either, right? Because he shows up in the casket later on.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he like pays off Judy's little shithead brother to find out where everyone's going.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, that brings us, before we even get into this movie, I have to mention that it is time for the How I Met Your Monster Conspiracy Theory of the Week.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Our first triple digit episode.
That's
Conspiracy
right.
Theory of the Week.
It's been a long time.
Zach, hit it.
You're telling me that NASA is going to kill the President of the United States with an earthquake.
Not exactly the kind of thing a Secret Service agent can like just throw himself on top of.
The whole Vietnam War was fought over a bet. Howard Hughes lost to Aristotle Onassis.
This is our third issue this year. Conspiracy theory.
Okay. This one, you got to suspend your disbelief here for a second.
This one?
That's all I do.
All the other ones were solid. This one you have
So
to...
solid. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
This movie was originally written by Gordy LaChance in Stand By Me.
Say no more, Zach. I'm in.
Got it. You don't even have to explain.
And so Night of the Demons was written by Joe Augustine. And so either Gordy somehow gave Joe, well, Gordy's a fictional character, but somehow he got the manuscript to...
He's real to me, damn it.
He's real to me. Okay. We know Gordy likes to write horror stories because Vern at the campfire says, he said, you want to hear a story? And Vern says, as long as it's not one of your horror stories, I can't handle your horror stories, Gordy. So Gordy's like, okay. So he saves it for this. After Gordy and Chris and Vern and Teddy's experience going through finding this dead body, they encounter Ace and Eyeball and all the other gang members. And Gordy has a moment at the end where he stands up for himself and others. And he says, suck my fat one, you cheap dime store hood. When that's all over, Chris, Gordy's friend Chris, says, whoever told you you had a fat one, LaChance? And Gordy says, biggest one in 4 counties. In this movie, when Sal pops out of the fucking coffin, there's some name calling. I can't remember who calls who a jerk. And they said the biggest one in 4 counties. So I think that Gordy LaChance wrote Night of the Demons based on his experience finding the body of Ray Brower. Okay. And the demons, the demons in this are metaphors for Ace and Eyeball and the gang members that tortured him. Also, the death of his brother Denny haunts him. So I think that this movie was written by Gordy LaChance.
I said that you didn't have to say anything else. And Zach, that was exactly what I was thinking when you said it.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too, right? When you said, yeah.
Amazing.
So in the movie, they're referring to the fact that Hull House was a former funeral parlor, and it's the biggest one in 4 counties.
No, that's not what they said.
It's funny yeah.
That's what they said? Well, now my whole thing's fucked because I thought somebody...
Yeah, you ruined it, Danny.
I thought somebody called somebody a jerk or something, and then he said, you're the biggest one in 4 counties.
Maybe they brought it back, but they specifically said it was the biggest funeral parlor in 4 counties. And I wrote it down because I was like, what an odd fact for anyone to know about a funeral parlor, that it was the biggest funeral parlor in 4 counties, which I think actually strengthens your theory because it is such a strange line.
Yeah, okay.
That Gordy... in writing this would have come to him naturally to be like, oh, that's a fun little line to kind of give some weight to this, to Hull House to make it seem, more grand than it might seem to.
And to Gordy, wherever Denny was buried, that during his whole funeral thing, to Gordy, that was the biggest funeral parlor in 4 counties because his grief was
associating it with his brother's death.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a funeral parlor. It's the biggest one in 4 counties because this is the one where my brother was had his service held.
That's right.
And of course he associates that with his fat
Is
one.
Denny LeChance the demon of Hell House? Oh no, he took a human form. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
And they did base the monster, like the demon makeup in this movie, off of John Cusack. So
that's rude.
Speaking of the monster makeup in this movie, the special effects were created by Steve Johnson. Mm-hmm. Steve Johnson has other connections to this. Has some other connections here. He was married to what, Danny? What?
And Gordy hired Steve Johnson because he wanted another connection to his fat one. And he was the biggest makeup artist in 4 counties.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Casey is checked out.
That's all I got.
No, I'm great. Love it.
But Steve Johnson in the real world here, Steve Johnson is a special effects makeup artist who has worked on this movie, obviously. He got started as an assistant on things like The Fog. He was a crew member for American Werewolf in London before taking over on his own for things like Videodrome, Big Trouble in Little China, Pet Sematary 2, Return of the Living Dead 3.
Wow.
Species.
Including Brain Scan, which starred Edward Furlong, who was in the remake of Night of the Demons. Yes, Jesus. Casey, Species. Yes.
And Blade 2.
Which
I did not like the effects in Blade 2.
Oh, really? Oh, I love Blade 2 so much.
Yeah, I should watch those.
The little like neck mouth.
Yeah, I like it. But I mean, that was all CG, so that wasn't really him. But
I see.
And he even designed the monster costumes for The Village.
Yeah. And
which is
it Freddy 4? The death scene in Freddy 4?
Yeah.
Freddy's
so he
4?
did Freddy's death in Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master.
I said Freddy 4.
Can you remind me how Freddy dies in part 4?
That is where he gets he gets hooked up to like this thing in the church, and like all the souls like come out of his body, and like they grow arms and stuff and like attach him, and then she shows him the mirror and he sees himself and he kind of just like explodes.
It's a pretty cool one.
They like rip him apart. But one of the souls in coming out of Freddy was played by Linnea Quigley, who plays Suzanne in this movie, who was married to Steve Johnson from 1990 to 1992.
Oh, that's
so did they meet on this movie?
They must have.
Because this was like they filmed this in 87. It came out in 88.
Yep.
Interesting. Now, so his name is Steve Johnson?
Yes.
So you said he did the makeup, the creature design for The Village?
The monsters.
What I saw was that he created the monster costume.
Gotcha. Because I was going to say that the face in The Village of the monster kind of reminds me of the demon's face in this movie. A little bit. Like, not like, exactly.
Yeah.
But it has a similar kind of, in terms of like the way, maybe like the snout and the spikiness of it. So interesting.
Yeah. Like the demon, not Angela, but like the demon that you see like floating.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Like the
in the mirror.
The raw dog demon.
The raw dog demon. Uh-huh. So there's a couple cool little full circle things there with Steve Johnson and this movie. But okay, so we're at the Halloween party. Jay has invited Judy. Instead of going to the dance, they go there. They pick up Franny and Max. Stooge, Raj, and Helen are on their way to the party as well when they get a flat tire. Max and Jay drive by and say, "Hey, do you want a hand?" And they just clap. They are little dickholes about it. And but everyone eventually makes it to Hull House, and they say, "We're in this haunted house. Let's do something." Angela says, "No, it's a possessed house." But they're like, "Hey, let's do this seance. Let's do a past life seance." So they find this big mirror and they all sit in front of it and they're concentrating, and the mirror goes black, and somebody, I don't know if it's Sal or somebody's like, fuck this. And they make like a joke and everyone's concentration gets broken. But Helen is still looking in the mirror and she sees our first reveal of the big demon monster floating head demon thing.
Yep.
The raw dog demon. Yes. The raw dog demon. Thank you.
RWD.
And so she gets like a really quick glimpse of that. And then she sees like, which we find out is herself dead, like slamming on the hood of the car. Mm-hmm. She sees that and she freaks out.
So they're supposed to be seeing not their, I thought they were seeing their past life, but I guess
that was the idea.
But isn't she seeing herself in the future?
Well, she is, but I don't think the thing worked like they thought it was going to work, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, they all became possessed.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then why establish that in the first place?
Well, they were.
Well, I think maybe they were going to do the past life thing, but then somebody, which I think is Sal, fucks it up, and they unleash this demon instead.
Maybe it was reverse, like their future self was seeing. Maybe Helen in the future was seeing her alive as she was dying, falling into the windshield.
Say that again?
I'm just trying to make sense of a nonsensical thing.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they don't know what they're doing, you know?
Right. They're just
they're
schoolers.
Not professionals. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't learn how to truly professionally seance until at least college.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can't blame them for making a few mistakes.
It happens.
But they do unleash the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Yeah.
And then it turned. This is where it pivots into a musical.
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Served a dark and vengeful God. Okay, I can't do that.
But Suzanne is the first one to get possessed by the demon.
Yeah. So that's our first official reveal. Mm-hmm. We don't see her as like a demon yet, but we're like,
well, we know something's up.
Well, yeah, because the demon has left the oven. The demon has left the oven, you guys. And then we get like this the Evil Dead cam. We get like the Evil Dead cam going through the house, and it kind of like circles around the group of friends until it sees her with her mouth open as she's putting on her lipstick, and it just kind of goes right in, as one does. Yep. When you see a mouth open,
as one does to an open mouth. Just get in there.
Go right in.
Just gotta scooch on in.
I didn't realize that this movie was going to turn out to be so perverted for us.
Yeah, me neither.
They always are.
I mean, it usually happens,
I guess
but we were right out of the gate. And this is, our first deep episode. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, it is 9:30 in the morning for me, so that's just peak horn dog. So I'm all jazzed up.
Yeah, and so when Suzanne gets possessed, she kind of just like takes over the show. She's like, guys, this is what we're doing. Raj and Helen are like, something's up. I am out of here. And which is surprising to me that Suzanne's just like, okay, go.
Yeah. But
well, does she know that they can't get out?
I think that's now that once I saw that, I was kind of like, oh yeah, she didn't care because she knew they weren't leaving anyways.
I was just surprised in general that they were trying to leave because that never happens.
Yeah. Well, I think Raj is hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
He's got Helen, which kind of seems like she's got maybe her head on her shoulders. Maybe she's hanging out with the wrong people too, but maybe when I say the wrong crowd, I mean Stooge.
Totally.
They shouldn't be hanging out with Stooge.
People rarely try to leave in horror movies. You're usually yelling at them, leave, get out of there. Mm-hmm. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they do a similar, this is the second James Wan movie reference, but I like how they do. Have you guys seen Insidious?
Uh-huh.
One of my favorite things about that movie is how they do that, where they're like, let's move. And they're like, oh, and then they move. But then the whole thing is that they're followed by it. I was like, oh, such a good, that's so smart.
It's kind of like, finally, like someone
just
like,
it was
didn't
attached
stay
to
in
the
house.
boy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not the house, yeah.
It's not the house, it's haunted. It's your son.
That's true. Like that happens a lot.
That was a good line.
So this movie basically influenced all of James Wan's career.
Did it?
Yeah, the demon talk and The Conjuring, the leaving of the house.
Well, where do we get Saw from?
Saw.
Because that was his first one, right?
I mean, there is a scene where there's two people locked in a room at the end of this movie.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna go real deep here.
Get deeper.
Get
deep, Zach.
How much deeper can we go?
I'm getting deeper here.
Oh my God.
So deep. So
close your eyes.
James Wan was inspired by this, but not only, we should note that, just for the record, this is all made up. We're not actually, this is not fact.
No, it's a fact.
James Wan was inspired by this movie so much, and also by Steve Johnson. So he followed Steve Johnson's career up until Brain Scan, when in Brain Scan, Edward Furlong's character cuts off the foot of his first victim. And so that's kind of where the idea for Saw came from.
Yeah, for sure.
Who would have thought Night of the Demons would be so influential in modern horror?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we wouldn't have Aquaman without this movie.
That's right. Anyways, we're not talking about Aquaman.
Darn.
Yet.
I don't know anything about Aquaman.
It's technically a monster.
Is he?
With gills.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like Kevin Costner in Waterworld.
Oh, fucking love Waterworld.
Dryland is not a myth. I have seen it. I only know that from the cable guy, not
Which
from
is
Waterworld.
funny. He does not say that in the movie.
Does he not?
He does not say that in the movie.
God damn it, Chip Douglas.
Well, it's probably in the prequel, Dry World.
Just called Land.
Okay.
Dry World. So, okay. So Raj and Helen try to leave, and Suzanne, I always want to say Suzanne, just lays a big fat wet one on Angela.
Yeah.
And just kind of, God, I can't say it. And just,
What?
I was going to say cum swaps the fucking demon.
Is there an official term for that?
Cum swapping?
In Clerks they call it snowballing.
It is snowballing? Okay.
It's
So
like,
she snowballs the demon with Angela.
Yep, it is snowballing. All right.
Ooh,
That's pretty
God.
funny. Actually.
Why is this so? Yeah,
It's pretty funny.
So Suzanne cum swaps the demon. Is this whole movie like a metaphor? Like the demon like comes in her mouth, and then
It's all about demon semen.
I mean, it's very sexual.
it's all about demons.
I didn't even realize
I mean,
that
it's
was
literally
gonna rhyme
about a
when I
bunch of
said
horny. I mean, to be honest, I know we're like being funny, but like it is. If you wanted to dig deep into like the quote unquote metaphor of this movie and like what it's supposed to say, if it's even trying to say anything, is that it is about a bunch of like, you know, raunchy, carefree kids who are getting themselves into trouble by being reckless.
That's a lot of 80s horror movies.
But like specifically, like, I mean, what was the movie? It Follows.
Yes.
It Follows is like a straight up allegory.
For
about,
STDs.
You know, STDs. Yeah. And sexually transmitted anythings. So, I mean, do I think this movie was trying to do that? Maybe not, but you could definitely draw a parallel.
Well, like
the idea of like spreading something that is not good for you because you're not taking care of yourselves.
So everybody wants to have sex in this movie besides Judy. And, well, I don't know if Raj does or not, but Raj is kind of like the preacher's kid. And he's like, no, I'm not having any of this. So he tries to leave. Judy doesn't want to do it. Everybody else wants to bone.
It's true.
Yep.
And everybody else turns into a fucking demon besides those two.
Yep.
It's true.
So it's not too far off.
Yeah.
From making sense.
And I mean, there was a lot of like, that was like a big thing, especially in the 80s of like, you know, you have sex, you die.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
So
Casey's like, well, yeah,
which is
obviously.
such a funny stance to take for like horror filmmakers. So I don't know if that feels like more of like retroactively kind of applied to these kinds of movies from maybe like a critic.
I mean, yeah, but it also is an excuse to get more sex in a movie because sex sells.
Totally.
Right.
Totally. But it's like the idea of like, we know the audience is like, are these horny teenagers, and we're telling you that like you will be punished for doing these things.
Oh, I don't think
seems like it goes against, like, I'm not saying maybe not the values of like a horror filmmaker, but it doesn't fit. It doesn't mesh with like someone who's like seems to be okay with it and is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like you said, Danny, I think that was like a retroactive thing that people are going back and saying that, because Casey's right. Like when they were making it, it's like blood and guts, boobs, drinking, whatever, like all those things that like people are like,
because even in like Friday the 13th, they have sex, they die, sure, but the villain is the one who's punishing them. So like, we should be mad at the villain for punishing them for doing something that is coming naturally to them, rather than
Friday the 13th, they're literally getting killed because they're having sex. Because she's upset that they're having sex.
Like, we as the audience are in their shoes. So like, we are like, you shouldn't be punished for that. It's not like the movie is saying they should be. It's the villain is saying they should be. And we're against the villain.
Yeah.
So it's like, in a roundabout way, we're saying it's actually not bad to be doing these things, to be having fun, because look at the one person who thinks it's bad. It's not the filmmakers. It's not us. It's the quote unquote, antagonist of the movie.
It's Pam.
Yeah, it's Pam.
All right. So we have established that this is a metaphor for sex. Snowballing. That's right.
Specifically, not just sex.
But now Angela will soon become the main antagonist of this movie. And she does her little dance. She does her little, which is pretty cool. Like when the fucking strobe light comes on and it just gets like crazy. And she like, they do some cool editing where she like jumps around to different spots. But it looks really neat with the strobe light.
Yeah. That's pretty great. Now that's a Halloween party. Strobe lights, dancing, fireplace. Good vibes.
But Jay and Judy go off to find a secret room, and Jay is a prick because no one wants to touch his prick, right?
Yeah.
And except Suzanne, she's all about that Jay stick.
She wants to jay him off.
Which is so funny to me because she like she like unzips his pants and he's like, oh, okay. And then he like fucking
he moves out of the way.
He moves out of the way. I was like, what are you doing?
You don't have to move. That's the idea.
Anyways, but is that our next reveal? Is that okay? So not just yet. So that whole scene starts. But then we see Sal is getting freaked out by Angela, and Sal's like one of like the smart characters in this, where he's like,
which is weird.
I'm fucking out of here
because he does not come off smart in the beginning.
Right. And Stooge comes in and he's like, okay, you don't want her, I'll take her. Which sounds terrible.
All of the men in this movie, besides Raj.
Yeah. But Angela's
Max was decent. Max seemed like a nice guy, but he didn't get a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
He was the one character who kind of had a little insight into like the background of Hull House and like.
Yeah. But he was also a douche.
He seemed fair, and he was with Franny though, right? Like they were. Oh wait, he was a douche. Never mind.
He was like he didn't help him with the fucking.
He's the one ogling at.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and
he's watching like, Suzanne.
I take
shake her back. in the fireplace.
Yeah, everybody else is kind of like they're watching her, but they're just like not very obvious about it. And Max is just like
he's got binoculars. He's got those like opera glasses, like the binocular things he's holding up, like 2 feet away from her.
And like Franny just comes over and like hands him a drink. She's like, "Here, this will cool you down."
Yeah, like excuse me. I mean, hey, maybe they were all just open. That's cool, whatever. But
yeah,
not very typical.
It's just funny. But so Angela kisses Stooge, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, let's do this." And she just rips his tongue out.
That's pretty disgusting.
So that is actually our first reveal of Angela. Because she's been acting weird, and we know as an audience that she has this thing in her, but I guess it's the first reveal to a character of Angela. To Angela.
That comes after. We have 2 reveals before that, technically.
What?
Because we have Roger when he's outside. This is where it gets crazy. And I think that's the beauty of this movie, is the cast. I mean, leave it to the 100th episode for it to scramble our monster meeting brains.
Yes.
I think this is great. Before that, we have Roger, when he's outside, he actually hears the demon calling his name.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Suzanne transforms officially into a demon when she's in the bathroom.
Oh, her face kind of just gets like...
Yeah, so we
it's
actually
almost just
see
like
her.
old and... Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then that's when Stooge dances with Angela.
Okay.
So we have so those are like, they're weird because they're not really like character. It is more us seeing characters kind of doing their own thing in an isolated way. So
okay, so then it goes back to Angela biting Stooge. And then Stooge like runs away, right? Because Sal comes back then and he sees Angela kneeling down by the fire. And she turns around, and our next reveal is to Sal. She turns around and she says, "I'm just warming my hands," and they're on fire. And that was so cool. I love that.
That was cool.
Yes, and any listeners who are fans of Survivor might remember. This might remind you of a very famous moment in season 2, Survivor Australia, when I cannot remember his name, but one of the guys burns his hands in the fire. This is real. It is one of the most grotesque things I've ever seen on television. This guy is playing with the fire and he burns himself and immediately screams and runs into the water. And when they show his hands, they look like he's wearing like loose latex gloves that are just like sagging off of him.
Oh yeah, just Google it.
So disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Now I have to Google it. Oh my God.
My brother dumped a pot of boiling water on his hands, and it looked like he had a zombie hand. Like a few days later, it was like gray and
much.
Yeah, it was just sloughing off.
It's horrible.
Michael Scuppin?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
and then he came back for like a later season, because his time was cut short. Holy fachunies! It is horrific.
Yuck. Yeah, it says he's the first person to be medically evacuated from the show.
Yeah. So I just thought that I wanted to throw that out to the Survivor heads out there who might be listening. There are dozens of us.
Dozens.
So when do we get to Suzanne's lipstick scene?
So that's right before this moment. Oh. So before the fire.
Okay.
This is the scene where, like, I didn't want to body shame or judge, but in that scene, I was like, her nipple looks a little.
Oh, you can tell.
Well, I was watching it with Nina, and she was like, "Why isn't she breathing?" And
so
I was like,
"Oh, that's such a good call."
And I said, "Well, just hang on a second, you'll see what happens." And she goes, "Oh, it does look very prosthetic." She's like, "Is something going to happen?" And I was like, "Yeah,
yeah." I was like,
it is seamless.
I thought it was weird because I was like, "Wait, she just showed her real chest. Why did they give her a fake chest?" Like, because sometimes if they're not comfortable actually showing themselves, they would, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like, she just showed her real chest. Why would they make a fake? Oh, that's
now, Casey, did you know that was going to happen? Did you remember that?
No.
Like I said, I've never seen this.
Oh, okay.
I thought that I had seen this movie. I've never seen this movie.
I barely remembered any of this movie except for like key moments.
Yeah, that's become kind of like a favorite, a cult classic scene or a cult favorite scene with like the lipstick. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I've seen in movies where like a character, like when they're dressed up and they'll like put lipstick on and they'll hide their lipstick between their cleavage. So this is like that.
She just went a step further.
This is the horror equivalent of that. Yeah. She's like, let's get this out of the way.
Okay. So the lipstick. Okay. So it's the lipstick and then Angela burning her hands to Sal.
Yes.
And then we go back to Suzanne and Jay.
Yes.
That's when they meet each other.
That's when she goes full demon.
Yes.
So I wonder why she did her makeup like that and then got upset that her makeup didn't look good.
Well, I think I don't know if she's thinking.
It doesn't make any sense. She's dumb.
Maybe the demon was confused because she's basically just doing. It's almost like the demon. She's like locked in like a stasis. Like the demon's just like exaggerating what she was doing when she was possessed. Yeah. So like putting on the makeup. So it's just like, I'm just going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So like the demon, I think, is like, did you guys know that Mr. Bean is an alien?
I mean, no, but it makes sense.
Wait, like canonically?
So like at the beginning, I saw a TikTok about this the other day. In the opening of Mr. Bean, if you guys remember the show, like the intro, like a beam of light comes down and then like Mr. Bean's like there.
Oh my God.
And so like, and it's like him as an alien trying to learn how to be human.
Oh my God.
What? Right?
Oh my God.
No idea. I had no idea.
Oh my God. I love Mr. Bean.
Yes.
And knowing that, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense.
And so he's like going around like watching people and trying to learn how to be human from watching other people. And that's why it's so, that's why he's so like literal and kind of like, yeah. Oh my God. It's great. But
I had no idea.
The demon is like Mr. Bean, right? Because the demon like wants to put on makeup and it's like, okay, how do I do this? And he like puts it around his face. It's like, oh, does it go in here? And like,
wait a minute. Is this time for the second conspiracy theory of the week?
It really is. Nature's pocket. Oh my God.
That's actually the vagina, but that's okay.
Yes.
Or your butt if we're talking about M&Ms.
Well, yeah, buttholes too.
My pockets are full. Where can I put these M&Ms? Up your butt. So Suzanne is having sex with Jay, right? He's finally getting what he wants from somebody. Jay is such an asshole. Oh my God. When you think about it, geez. And then so she's got the makeup on her face and he's like, you look fine. And she's like, don't look at me. Then she transforms. She like puts her head back, right? And then when she comes forward, she's the demon again. And she fucking gouges his eyes out.
Yeah.
And all the blood squirts
out.
So
good.
It's cool. There's a bunch of good. There's some good one-liners in this movie. So later, during all the chases, Jay is coming after Judy again, and like his eyes are like gone and he's bleeding. And Angela says, "Should I do the Angela impression? Should I do it?"
Yeah.
Oh, please. Yeah.
She says,
"Yes." Do the voice.
Okay. She says, "What's the matter, Judy? Don't you like your blind date?" So okay, here's my best Angela. Okay, here we go.
Yes.
She says, "Hold on." Hold on.
I thought you burped for a second.
No, that's Angela. Okay. Now I'm on the spot. Okay, it's hot in here. Okay. She says, "What's the matter, Judy? Don't you like your blind date?"
Wait, that was so good. What the fuck?
I'm giving myself a round of applause.
Good job.
That was really genuinely a great impression.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, there's a few good one-liners in that, like in this.
Suzanne, is it Suzanne? Now I'm
Suzanne,
right?
Yeah. She has a good one earlier about Stooge.
She says something. I just wrote something down for this, mostly because I had a question. And then I thought, was this supposed to be like a rigor mortis joke when she says, when she meets, I'm kind of skipping ahead, but she talks to Judy and Sal and she says, "How about an orgy? I bet if we tried, we could get Jay hard again."
Yes. I believe that was a rigor mortis joke.
Okay. But she has a good one-liner about Stooge earlier, and she like takes Stooge away to go with him, and Sal's like, "He's like a fat pig."
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, "Maybe I'm in the mood for pork."
Oh.
And then
biggest pork in 4 counties.
And then Stooge snorts.
Yeah, he owns it. He's like, "Oh yeah."
Well, he thinks he's gonna get laid.
Yeah. Biggest pork in 4 counties. Oh my God. Okay. So where are we here with the reveals?
Okay. So Jay meets Demon Suzanne. So now we're on, we immediately, as far as my notes go, we immediately jump right into our next reveal, which is Franny and Max meeting Demon Stooge.
Right. Because they're getting it on in the coffin.
Yes.
And he just comes in, doesn't hesitate. there's like no waiting. He like walks right in and just grabs Franny's head and twists it around.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Max starts freaking out. And so does Max die just by getting his arm chopped off?
That's what I wrote.
Maybe he suffocates him.
Stooge twists Franny's neck, crushes Max's arms.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden
he's got
Max
Franny
is like
on top of him. He's enclosed in a coffin.
Oh God!
Can't
talk
breathe.
about claustrophobia. Oh my God!
With a dead body on you. Yeah, he's probably
Yeah, maybe he was just claustrophobic. His arm was severed, but that didn't lead to his death. He was just like freaked out when he got locked in.
Yeah, he hyperventilated and just died.
Yeah, because later we find his arm.
The harder you breathe, you're using more oxygen. You're gonna suffocate faster.
Yeah,
that's true.
So,
but then, Danny, like you said, his arm on the ground, it comes to life later.
Yeah,
like just
which
by
is
itself.
Cool.
Yeah.
So any organic material can be, but I think the thing with the demons, it's like, how does this demon work? How does it function? It's sort of like we were talking about how it's snowballing its way through all of the victims, and but it can kind of like almost like, we referenced Evil Dead earlier. It can kind of manipulate anything within our reality, because later, spoiler alert, when Sal dies, Angela points to his headstone.
Yes.
And it says that he died tonight.
Which means the demon must have made
like
it.
The gate. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
There's a whole
it's just the
deleted
whole
scene.
house.
Like, hold on, guys. He's like chiseling away at a piece of stone.
She's like, I have a bit.
Yeah. So it's just the house. Like Zach said, the house itself is.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
House 2, the second story, could have taken a fucking number from these guys.
House 2 ran, some notes. House 2 walked, so Night of the Demons could run.
That's right. Okay, and then so my next reveal that I have listed is Raj sees Angela, but I don't remember it. I remember him and Sal Angela? Are like running away.
I don't have Roger meeting Angela until I have actually a few in between.
Okay, let's hear them.
So I have Franny and Max meet Demon Stooge. So right after that, I have Judy meets Demon Angela when Angela's floating down the hallway. And that's like the first time we see Angela in her full like VHS cover art reveal, like her whole look.
I really like the way they look in this movie.
I love the look of this. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's just kind of like they're just kind of warped with sharp teeth.
Yeah. And when does Judy see her and Sal are in the room and she sees
right
Judy?
After that, Suzanne?
Yeah.
That comes right after this. So then the subsequent reveal is Judy and Sal meet Doom and Suzanne, and that's the whole line about how about an orgy?
Okay. Because then Sal's trying to get out the window and Suzanne throws him out the window.
Comically.
It looks pretty silly.
A little over the top.
In this movie?
A little bit.
Well, I love it later when fucking Raj, they're on the first floor and they're getting surrounded by demons, and Raj is like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." He's like, "Good luck, Judy," and he just fucking nosedives through the window. But okay, then Judy runs away, and that's where Max's arms comes to life. His severed arm comes to life and grabs Judy's leg.
Yes, she runs down the hallway.
And they pop out of the coffin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Judy makes her way up to the roof, right? Mm-hmm. And Raj is down there, and he's saying, "Hey, jump, girl."
Zach's going to kill me, but there is one more reveal before that when Judy meets Demon Stooge.
Judy meets Demon Stooge.
And then there's a lot of like running through the house.
Yeah.
She kind of bumps into a lot of demons. They all kind of just like snarl at her.
Right.
And then she escapes to the roof.
And that sends her to the roof. And then Stooge comes after her, but is attacked by Sal, who made his way up to the roof. And he gets thrown off and is dead.
With Angela.
Yeah.
With Angela, not with Stooge.
But Stooge is there.
Right. Okay.
But then I think the thing is all the demons are kind of converging. So it's kind of a clusterfuck of like who's who. And yeah, so I think it's we're right to be a little like jumbled right now because we're getting a lot of demons. At this point in the movie, we're getting almost
demons from demons in every hole.
Demon semen is spraying everywhere. It's like bukkake.
Yeah. It's demon bukkake.
Yeah, we are now in the bukkake segment of Night of the Demons.
Did How I Met Your Monster just become a porn show?
Yeah.
Boo boo, we did a special for episode 69 on Society.
That's right, we did.
Yeah, we did. We're very So we should say in the 100th episode, we should tell new listeners and old listeners alike, we get occasionally pretty horny for horror. So
yeah,
we
horny
don't
for horror.
Though.
For sure.
We're horny.
We're also
for horror.
kink friendly. We're kink apologists. So
we need shirts.
That's where we're at.
We need a shirt that says "horny for horror."
I think that's a great idea. Just snowballing our way from one monster to the next.
Seriously, I want a shirt that says "horny for horror."
Horny for horror.
Okay. Now that we're all horned up and worked up, let's wrap this bitch up.
So Judy, wrap it up first, and then
always wrap it
up first.
Especially with demons.
Oh yeah, we should have wrapped it up earlier.
So Judy's on the roof, and Raj is like, "Hey, girl, jump! I'll catch you."
You just got to move over a little bit.
What the fuck is going through her head? I would just like, give me a fucking diving board. I'll be off the
roof. Do I
roof
want to fall 5 feet or die from demons?
Yeah,
right. Do you want Stooge, the demon Stooge, to get a hold of you, or do you want to jump and possibly break an ankle?
Seriously.
Yeah.
If even. The way they shoot it when she falls is like so dramatic, but really she seems to only fall like 2 feet.
Yeah, they make it seem like she's falling from like the 6th story.
Yeah, exactly. It's the power of slow motion and editing.
But
and then she falls right onto Raj.
Yeah.
She's like, break my fall.
So they get away and they run back into the house because they can't get out because it's all sealed up. And they go down into the basement and lock the door. And they're like, all of a sudden they're like locked in the basement. And now they're like laughing and being like, we're good, until Raj starts to cry. And then Judy thinking she is the smartest person in the world when really she's the dumbest person in the world, the most sheltered person. Poor Judy. She says, look, Raj, a door.
Yeah, like,
let's go through the door.
We're in an abandoned funeral home. What could this
I literally wrote, Judy thinks the furnace is a way out.
Yeah.
And I guess in one way it is if you turn that bitch on and jump in.
Yeah, if you're just going to set yourself on fire.
But like she sees the door and it's like, really? She's like all excited. She's like, we have to try. Come on.
It just keeps cutting to Raj. He's like, what?
Yeah, I can't believe she left that skull in there. You could sell that for a lot of money on the black market.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I have a question. Yes. So she opens the furnace. She digs around. She sees the bones. They're coming in through the door. They're knocking the hinges out of they're putting the pins out of the hinges, which she could just put them back in.
Yeah.
But she decides to rip a pipe out of the wall because and she's like, she starts to use it as a weapon, but then she's like, there's gas coming out of here. And I happen to have this lighter that Angela told me to keep in my pocket. Who is paying the gas bill at the abandoned funeral home? Yes.
The demons, probably.
The demons. They have like a little...
well, he lives in the furnace, so...
Oh, yeah. He's got to stay warm.
Yeah, that's a great...
Yeah.
But I was like...
That's my guess.
Yeah, I love that when... Roger goes, he's like, what is it? And she's like, it's an oven, Raj. It's a crematorium.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
No shit.
You're in the basement of a funeral parlor. Like, what do you... Yeah.
But I don't know too much about, like, I guess it would be physics. Is that physics or science? I don't know too much about science.
It all falls under that category.
But she had that pipe open for so long. Wouldn't the room have been filled with gas and she lights it and it explodes?
Probably.
Okay.
It should have been, would have made, I mean, I guess none of it would have made sense because there wouldn't be gas to begin with.
Well, and then,
but
so
if there was gas,
thing.
it should have started off and then been like, Raj, crank it. And then you could have had a moment of lighting it and then, it would have just
the fire also would have gone into the pipe and blown
really?
it up. Yeah. I mean, that's what I would think.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't know too much about
maybe not. I guess if
physical
it's functioning
science.
like a lighter.
Yeah, that's either way. That's a guaranteed explosion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like they do something similar in Panic Room when Jodie Foster, I don't know if spoiler alert, but when she puts the loose gas hose thing into the furnace and then lights it, and I guess it does kind of, it doesn't work quite the way it does in this movie. And I'm assuming that
like a flamethrower.
Yeah. Like the science in, the physics or whatever we're calling it in Panic Room was maybe a little better researched than in this one. Although I don't want to assume anything. Because it does it has a similar effect, kind of. But it doesn't work like a flamethrower. It just kind of explodes. Okay, so we're back in the crematorium. Not to be confused with the Dreamatorium from Bob's Burgers.
Oh.
Not to be confused with A Way Out.
Yeah.
Yes, not to be confused with an exit.
So they light Stooge and Angela on fire, and then they run outside of the house, and they're trying to find a way over the wall, which we should know.
Not before yet another reveal.
Yeah.
And it is our final reveal. And it is when Roger and Judy meet Demon Jay and Demon Sal.
Yeah.
Okay, is this where Raj jumps out the window?
Yes.
This has to be where Raj jumps out the window.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
And then he's like, fuck it. I'm out of here. Judy then follows him. And they try to climb over the wall with all of the demons and zombies coming at them.
Yes.
And the only way they can find out how to get over the wall is by grabbing onto the barbed wire and pulling themselves up.
Wonderful.
And Raj goes first and tries to get Judy back over the wall with him, but falls. And you think Raj is just going to be a little bitch boy and run away. But he actually steps up and he climbs up onto the wall. And he gets...
Yeah, how did he get on the wall, actually?
I don't know. There's
Wasn't
like a
it
ladder
a
on the
whole
other
to
side.
do of like how we're getting over this wall?
Yeah. And then on the other side, he's just like, just jumps up.
Yeah.
My God.
We don't know what the other side looked like.
That's true. That's true.
Maybe it is because the other side is not part of like the possession. Maybe it's not quite as like...
No, probably.
Big as the other side.
It's out of the bound, so it's easier to get up somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
Maybe it's like unnaturally tall within the confines of the possessed area.
But he does manage to pull Judy up, just in the nick of time as the sun is coming up. And the demons just kind of turn into smoke. I'm guessing they kind of like evaporate.
Yeah. We got one last look at the raw dog demon.
Above the whole thing. And he kind of just like goes in.
They don't put up the biggest fight.
Vortex.
You would think,
vortex,
especially with all the demons converging, that it would be easy for them maybe to overpower Judy, but they kind of just tug at her a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And she gets like burned because Stooge, I think, grabs her leg, and he's hot from the fire, so it burns her leg. And
so maybe there is something to be said about the fact that this demon is maybe spreading himself a little too thin, because maybe he had only possessed one. Yes, exactly. He's too much snowball.
Oh, if he had pumped all his semen into one vessel.
Vessel.
Exactly.
Why did I
That's
have
what
to
you're
say
going with?
snowballed one victim? Then it's like, because it's spread too thin. So now all these, like, there's a lot of demons. So they are visually frightening, but they are physically weaker.
They're not strong.
So so that's my explanation for why they could not put up a fight. They couldn't pull Judy down from a giant ledge as she's holding onto barbed wire.
Yeah.
But hey, that's science. That's demon science for you.
Is there any kind of... Do you think there's any kind of meaning behind her wearing an Alice in Wonderland costume?
Yeah, I assumed it was just like...
Yeah, fantasy.
Because at first I didn't realize that was just her look. And I was like, oh, it's a Halloween party. Gotcha.
Yeah. But this movie wraps up in such an odd way.
Yeah, it does not make any sense.
I love it. It's so fun,
I do
but
too.
it doesn't make much sense. So So after they get away, the demon has, Casey, you said, has gone into like this vortex. He's back trapped in Hull House. Yep. They are walking home, and we are revisited by this old man who we see at the beginning, which we failed to talk about. There's an old man being harassed at the beginning by teenagers as he walks home. And although he's being harassed by the teenagers at the beginning, I feel like he already had the plan to put the razor blades in the apples.
Oh, 100%.
Because he had them both in his shopping bag.
You don't just go to the store on Halloween night and buy apples and razor blades.
Yes. So the old wives' tale that people used to put razor blades in apples for Halloween. He's actually going to do that, right? And then at the end of the movie, it comes back as Judy and Raj are walking painfully home to wherever home is. And they see the guy and he's like, "You stupid kids, you've been out all night causing trouble," whatever. And he goes inside, and his wife has baked him a pie, and he doesn't think anything of it. And he starts eating it, and the razor blades are in the pie. I don't know how he chewed them and swallowed them without noticing that they were in there, but
it made it cool though.
But it made it very cool.
It was very cool.
And his throat gets cut open with the full-size razor blades, and just like, it doesn't make any sense, but it's awesome.
It doesn't. It's amazing.
And the blood goes everywhere, and then the wife comes, and she says something, but she clearly knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
By giving him, by baking him this pie.
Was this just a...
Which I don't understand. It doesn't, I don't get it, but...
it's just an extra little tidbit, I guess, about this shitty guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. It was a cool little makeup effect right there.
It's like a little short film within this movie.
Yeah. But his wife obviously hates him too, so...
Yeah. So that's Night of the Demons, you guys.
Yeah.
That's Angela, Suzanne, Stooge, everybody.
Everybody, etc.
Everybody.
So now let's talk about our favorite reveal in, if we can find just one, our favorite reveal in Night of the Demons.
What's going on here? I don't see anything anywhere.
That's how they get you. They're under the goddamn ground.
Okay, so I am not going to recap these reveals because there are so many.
They all just jumble together.
They all kind of jumble together. We have our main ones like Hull House, the Demon. We've got Suzanne, we've got Angela, and then we've got, I'll say Stooge, and then everybody else kind of fumbles together. I think as much as I love... No, I'm going with Angela floating down the hallway when we first see her in her full-on demon Angela makeup. That's good. Because
me too.
I just love that floating effect.
That's
like we had talked earlier, it's just kind of like Hellraiser. You know, when the big what's his name in Hellraiser? The big like demon is like floating down the hallway after Christine. I forget her name in Hellraiser, but anyways, just that cool effect of the floating, I really love. What about you guys? What are your favorite reveals? What is your favorite reveal in Night of the Demons? You're with me, Danny?
Yep, I'm with you.
My favorite was Suzanne's "Don't Look at Me" scene. I love like the head snap back. And it's got a classic line. It's got my favorite kill. The fingers to the eyes like really like gross me out, but like in the best way possible.
Yeah. That was definitely a runner up for me. That would have been my next choice if it wasn't.
I did have originally, I wrote down 3 and I was going to pick, and I had Angela with the warming her hands by the fire, this one, and Angela going down the hallway, like her main official reveal. But this one just kind of like, this one stuck with me.
Which I wonder, like, how different this movie would have been received or whatever if Suzanne was like the poster child for this.
Yeah.
You know, had like, she was on all the posters and she was like the main demon, which would make sense. But
I wonder why they didn't go with both. Just have like both like contrasting images of like the goth look and the pink like.
And it is called Night of the Demons, so it would make sense that there would be more than one demon on the poster.
Yeah.
Right.
But, yeah, I wonder why. I guess it was like the obvious choice maybe for like the marketing team to be like, well, she's wearing all black and she's, you know,
it's very 80s,
stereotypical.
Very,
Yeah.
But then why not make her Suzanne? That's what it is. It all worked out. It spawned 2 sequels and a remake, so they knew what they were doing. But all right, well, now it is time for a segment that we like to call The Real Monster.
Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
You're a monster.
I'm not the monster here. You are. You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world. Now tell me, where are the others?
Eat me.
We have rebranded. We're horny for horror, right?
It's official, apparently.
It's official. We're horny for horror. So my real monster in this movie is the sex that these people are having, because they don't move at all. They're just soaking in there.
Yep.
So
soaking in their juice.
Soaking it up.
Every time they showed them, quote unquote, having sex, they were both just very still.
Yeah.
So
it's just Suzanne and Jay and Franny and Max, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But both like girls on top, just chilling.
Yep.
So
we're just going to sit here.
My real monster is the boring soaking sex that they're having.
Soaking sex. That's so disgusting.
It's called soaking. When you just leave the dick in there, it's called soaking.
It's just soaking it.
Know that.
Now you do.
Okay, so I've got 5 real monsters for this movie.
Good Lord.
Number 1, I've got kids picking on the elderly, which that guy ended up becoming. That guy ended up being like a fucking prick that he deserved it. But it's just not. They say like respect your elders, and like yes, that's true and whatever. But I'm not trying to push that too hard. But just like,
okay, you boomer.
Don't pick on the older people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just be nice. Like Judy was going to be nice to that guy and help him with his groceries. And Stooge, if he is going to pick on somebody, he can't even do it right because he moons the guy and he doesn't even pull his pants down. He moons him with his fucking underwear on. Anyways, they do say my second real monster is the political correctness thing here. They do say the other F word and the R word within the first 5 minutes of this movie. So fuck that.
Yep.
I have a real one of my real monsters is sex predators. The clerks checking out Suzanne in the gas station or the convenience store.
Oh yes, the ones with sour balls.
The ones with sour balls, the sour balled clerks, because she is in high school. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're right.
She is.
She is a high school student.
I was gonna say technically she is asking for it though, because she does want them to look.
Well, she wants them to look so that Angela can steal everything as they go away. But
that's the thing with these movies where they cast people who clearly aren't in high school as high school that I forget that. Oh yeah, I'm watching a movie about children.
I'm supposed to believe that Stooge is in high school.
Yes, Stooge has a family of 4 at home.
Fucking right. Yeah.
My fourth real monster, fudge logs.
Oh yeah,
Judy's mom's fudge logs.
Literally, Zach. I literally highlighted that. So spoiler alert. That's also my real monster.
I'd eat him.
Oh gosh! And the mom was pushing them on Jay. She's like,
"Yeah, like, what's wrong with them?
Eat one, eat one, eat one."
What's the matter?
Jay's like, "No." And then finally, my final real monster is Judy's brother, because he is way too old to be hiding in his sister's closet and talking about her boobs so much.
I had like little brothers as an honorable mention in mine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. He talks about her, what does he call them? Bodacious boobies.
Yeah. And then cha-chas.
And cha-chas.
Bodacious boobies?
I'm like, dude, he's got to be like 13 years old, 14 years old.
Yeah.
Like, so entering puberty, probably, he should not be hiding in her closet.
And he's straight up just watching her get naked because then he's commenting on the boobs. It's very strange.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't like that.
So you're going to stare at your sister's boob, but you're not going to eat your mom's fudge logs? I mean, come on.
And then he's just like chilling there reading a magazine on fucking Halloween. Like, go do something.
Who is this kid?
Yeah, I just want you guys to know
that. He's getting paid off with $1. This is like, this gets fucked up.
He's like 40. He's got like his feet up reading a magazine.
Stooge was 28 in this movie.
Okay,
how old was
28 playing a...
He was 28.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
28 playing a high schooler.
Okay. Hey, just stay back
you know.
a few years. It happens.
So yeah, those are my real monsters. Danny, what do you got?
Yeah, I've got Mrs. Cassidy's fudge logs.
Okay. Yeah. It's Halloween.
It's pretty
clear.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you have like maybe a weird family recipe that you make and it's like maybe an annual tradition. But Halloween, you're sort of like, there's a market for Halloween themed desserts. There's even
she could have turned them into witch fingers real easily.
100%.
Yeah.
Put some fucking coconut at the end, call it a witch's brew.
Put an almond on the end for a fingernail.
Like, this is not hard.
Yeah.
She didn't even try.
No.
Well, maybe let's stay away from the nuts.
Why? Well, no, because if she would have done it right, it wouldn't have looked like a turd with nuts in it. It would have looked like a witch finger.
She went out of her way to poopify those chocolates.
Okay.
Yeah, she did not try. And she's got time on her hands. Her son is like running his own like business. He's fine.
Lazy bitch.
Her daughter's old enough to
so it's not her fudge logs, it's her.
Yeah, Mrs. Cassidy's.
They didn't do anything wrong.
Show. No.
Mrs.
She raised
Cassidy,
one decent child, Judy. She's clearly given up, so she's again has time on her hands.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if it is chocolate. Is she just offering shit?
Poop?
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll never know because no one ate them because they were disgusting to look at.
Yeah. Because even the kid like calls him out. He's like, nobody wants your fudge logs that look like turds or something. Duty. Oh my God. All right, you guys. That is our first feature in our Under the Influence triple feature. Completed. Night of the Demons.
Check.
We were so jumbled and screwed up by the amount of monsters in this movie that I feel like I am currently under the influence of something because I feel all kinds of screwed up.
It was a lot, but we made it. We made it through. We survived Hull House unscathed.
Hey, guys, we're professionals. That's why we're here. We meet these monsters, even when it is really screwy and disjointed and hard to follow, so that you don't have to.
We're like Mike Rowe. Dirty jobs. This is a dirty job. Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
We're dirty jobs. We like rolling up these, proverbial sleeves and sticking our hands into the proverbial mess and
we're sticking our hands into something.
Proverbing our way through proverbial monsters.
Proverbially. Proverbially. We are.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's right.
So you're welcome.
Yeah.
100 episodes in, we just wanted to say you're welcome.
Well, listeners, we appreciate you sticking around through all of that because Night of the Demons is such a fun movie, and I'm glad we finally got to cover it. So,
me too.
If any of you out there are fans of Night of the Demons or you want to talk more about it, feel free to reach out to us. Find us on social media, How I Met Your Monster on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X. We're there.
We're there.
We're there. Where can our listeners find you guys on social media?
I am on Instagram at WolfMotherCasey.
Awesome. Danny?
I'm on various social media platforms at Danny Salem, DANNY That's 2 M's like the candy, melt in your butt, not in your hand. And if you happen to see Miller at the end of one of those names, it's also me because life is confusing.
Yes. And you are now a married man.
Yes. Married man, somewhat recognized on social media, somewhat not.
Yeah. So, and if your pockets are too full and you need a place to put your M&Ms, Danny recommends your butt.
Shove it up your ass.
Shove it right up your ass. Right up there with all that demon semen.
Yep. Get it up in there.
Just spread
Mix
those
it all
cheeks.
together.
You got M&Ms for weeks.
You spread your cheeks, Danny. Every week, Danny puts M&Ms up his butt, and he says he spreads his cheeks and he goes, "Oh, I got M&Ms for weeks up here."
Nice.
Oh. Oh my God. Okay, you can find me on social media at Zach Witzik. Make sure to join us next episode for part 2 of our Under the Influence triple feature, where we will be covering The Dark and the Wicked.
Yes.
From the creator of The Strangers, which I fucking hated that movie.
Of course you did.
So
Wait, I didn't know that. I love The Strangers.
I hated The Strangers because it's just so dark to be dark.
Yeah,
and
I wish there was a little light.
I wanted there to be some light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm interested. I've seen The Dark and the Wicked once. I am interested to give it a go again and see, to give it a second watch and see what I think of it. So, but make sure to join us next episode for The Dark and the Wicked. And until then, thank you for following along and supporting us through 100 episodes.
100 episodes?
And
what the hell?
Here's to 100 more.
Hell yeah.
So thank you all for listening. Now go meet some monsters.
Bye.